Well, my bike's in for a service and I'm taking out a Bmw C400X in kind of sporty colours. I've had one of these out before. They're brilliant. I love them. A twist and go, 400cc single twist and go. It was -1 when I set off, but it's +3 now, so I'm laughing. There's just a bit of ice on these back roads, so I've got to be careful. The seat on them is massive for the rider in the pillion. Front and rear brakes on the two handles, nothing to do with your feet. Typical BMW screen on it, which is nice. It's a good looking scooter. It sounds a bit kind of gruff and cheap when you first fire up the engine, but that's only like the first 10 seconds. I think this thing's freezing cold. It's no wonder really. But I'll be on the dual carriageway in this in a minute, getting to work, and oh my god, this thing flies. It absolutely flies. Job for life: tiling, plastering, carpentry, plumbing. Don't bother doing a university degree course these days, just do that sort of shit. Have a job for life. Oh, we're to back to +2. These aren't super main roads, but the ice should be gone on it. I'll tell these car drivers are looking at me going, look at you, man. I've got to get in this lane over here. No clutch of course, it's just a twist and go. I say just a twist and go, it is a twist and go, it's brilliant. Of course, perfect around town, perfect this sort of traffic. Oh look, this happens every time I come from this BMW dealer. In the morning, this traffic. This is the M50. It's like the big peripheral ring road around Dublin. But if there was now, I had to filter through all this on the way here, and you look, it was easy enough on the GS, but oh my god, it's going to be so much easier on this. This will be the filter king. I want to get in that outside lane. Don't fancy filtering between all those lorries and over again. Right. If we're moving, I can filter now, but I'm not going to get much of an advantage. I'm only going to get 5 or 10 kilometers an hour advantage. So while we're moving, I'm not going to bother filtering. But when the traffic stops, I'll be through that. I've only got to go a couple of junctions. Lanes are very narrow in Ireland. Well, most of Europe actually. So filtering isn't quite the same as it would be on a big freeway. This model comes with the heated seats and heated grips, so not doing too bad. Not doing too bad at all. Do you know what I'd like as an upgrade to this? Especially this sort of weather, link brakes. So I just have to use one brake. That'd be nice. I'm using both at the moment because the road is, I'm not going to say it's icy, but it's pretty damn cold. Now we're moving now, good stuff. Yeah, decent little pickup and quite comfy suspension. Getting quite a bit of wind noise. This screen doesn't seem to be adjustable, but I reckon, yeah, I reckon one of those small lips on the top of that would sort that out. Well, do you know what? If you were a plumber or something like that in a big city, and use this for scooting around doing your quotes, forget the van. Use one of these for scooting around doing your quotes, and then when you get the job, use your van. This thing will be frugal as anything. But you have more than enough power to keep up with the traffic, and at the end of this road I'll be getting on a motorway just for a short piece at 120 kilometers an hour, and this thing easy does it. 120 is our limit. Easily get up there. So I could easily do the 120 plus if this car would get out of the way, but it's not going to. I'm going to sit in the fast lane and I'm doing the speed limit. Now I'm going to speed up because he thinks I'm going to undertake him. Yeah. Twat. Doing an easy indicated 125, which is probably more like 118. Of course, these make great bikes in the winter because they're not super. I know it's a 350 single, but it's not a super torque machine. The CVT, you know, twist and go type gearbox. They're very helpful for those wet weather days and colder days, because you've got that slight disconnect between the opening of the throttle and the torque on the back wheel. So they're fairly forgiving in these sort of conditions, which is great as a commuter bike. Yeah, this thing's brilliant. I absolutely love it, but you know, would you go to your local cafe on it, you know, the bike meet? Yeah, you probably wouldn't, would you? It's a commuter tool, isn't it? But it's kind of up the premium end price-wise, so I'd say there's a fairly niche buyer market for this sort of bike. I want to commute, but I don't mind paying a premium price. Yeah, it's got nav, music, phone integration. That might be handy if you are on a commute, I guess. If you know your BMW, you know your switchgear. Switchgear's identical. Whizzy wheel, menus, indicators, everything. Everything's identical. Display, same. Usual stuff. And quite simple when you're on the road. And of course the boot underneath the seat, electrically released. Loop. And then press this button. Drop the back seat, or drop this collapsible part. There's room for a full face helmet and room for other stuff in there. Quite decent. It won't let you drive off with that down accidentally. Centre stand as well. This is the sport variant. This is brand new. It's only got about 400 kilometers on it. JG1 brakes up front, twin discs. Quite sharp actually, quite nice, and a good rear disc. Has enough power on any road you can think of really. You can keep up with traffic, do anything. Massively comfortable seat, heated in this case. Massive pillion space. Great for a day out. Day out, two up, picnic in the back, sorted. Quite like it. Not a bad little cubby hole. Same one there, with a USB socket. Can I get an iPhone 13 in? Testing. Right, you can, but it's a bit of an awkward fit. So, you'd want to maybe have a phone mount somewhere and somehow get the cable out past this grommet. It's better than nothing. Keyless fuel lid. Doesn't open when the bike's powered up, obviously. If it's like the other bikes, you got 45 seconds to open it after you switch off the ignition. Okay, easy enough. Pillion pegs. I like it. This is a 24 model, although it's a brand new bike, it's a 24 model. The 25 model meets Euro 5 Plus, and there's a few minor styling changes. I think if you were going to commute on dual carriageways and stuff like that, in colder climates, you might want the GT version with the adjustable screen. Warmer climate, yeah, maybe that with a fixed screen. Physically, it's quite a big bike. It looks quite a bit more substantial than my Daytona 660. It's definitely aiming for the premium end. I guess its nearest competitor would be the Honda 350. But this does have lean sensitive ABS and traction control. I don't think the Honda does. There is a bit of difference in price, mind, but this is definitely at the premium end of the market. You know, that TFT is very premium. You know, the switch gear, some of the connectivity and stuff like that. You're kind of buying this in the knowledge that it's that BMW experience.
The only thing you've got to watch out with bikes like this is at a certain mileage, this CVT belt system needs some sort of servicing, which can mean removal of this complete area here, which can lead to a really, really expensive service. So check and see where that mileage is.
Gloves and helmet. Now, got to lift this up. Still room for my dog food. And I dropped me yogurt. So we'll throw that.
Job's a good one. So what makes this scooter premium? Well, there's a lot of features that carried on over, like on my GS over there, it has engine drag torque control. That's what this scooter has. So if you decelerate or knock off the acceleration quite quickly, there's a good chance that rear wheel's going to slip. It senses that and it opens the throttle bodies and adjusts for that and compensates and matches that drag. It's to stop the rear wheel slipping. Especially useful in especially useful for wet, slippery roads. It also has dynamic brake control, so if you're braking hard and it knows you're braking hard in emergency, it won't allow the throttle bodies to open. You know, sometimes if you're maybe a novice rider or a younger rider, or you're just making a plain mistake, you go for the brakes, you go hard, sometimes you might actually, you know, push your throttle open a bit. It knows that you don't want to do that, and it won't let that throttle take that action. So another small emergency feature, but they're the features that are on the big bikes too. So nice stuff on the scooter. Previous years, the standard were a set of clocks on that C400, and the option was for the 6.5-inch TFT. Now that's the TFT that are used on most of the other BMWs. Now it's standard across the range. The base model comes with the 6.5-inch TFT. It's a nice display. When you're actually riding on the road, it doesn't actually show you much because there's no revs, there's nothing to worry about. You know, really all you're looking at is your speed. So it doesn't take full advantage of that until you start doing something like using the BMW app on your phone. Use that for navigation, then you get turn by turn up on the screen. That's quite nice. If you start connecting with your music, it gives you full album covers in color and everything like that. So that's nice, I do like that. If you want to get more serious about navigation, you could put the connected ride cradle on the bike if you choose the Prep for Sat-Nav option. The nice thing about that, using the BMW connected ride cradle with your own phone, is your phone's getting wirelessly charged while it's in that cradle. But secondly, you can use the WYSI wheel on the switch gear to expand and contract out that map view. And that is actually really useful. I found that really useful. Going around town, when you're looking for that junction, you're looking for that right turn, and it's like right turn in 400 yards or something like that, and there's like 400 right turns before you get there. So when you're in town or in a busy intersection or something like that, you can just zoom in on the screen with your WYSI wheel with that connected ride cradle and your phone just sitting in that charging, and it makes the navigation great clarity on it. The only thing I'd say about that is you have the option now to go on a 10-inch TFT on that C400X. If you were going to pay for the sat-nav prep and the connected ride cradle, you're kind of 2/3 of the way to getting a 10-inch screen. So in that instance, what you could have is have your normal screen plus your nav on the other side of the screen, a bit like the big 1600s and stuff like that, or the I think it's the RT has the 10-inch screen. So what I'd say was, if you're super serious about navigation, just go straight to the 10-inch screen. But if you're happy with turn by turn and voice instructions and stuff like that, the 6.5 TFT is great anyway. That 10-inch screen is only optional on the GT model. What else can I do with the connected ride cradle? Well, I could use something like a Carper Ride or something like that. But again, I'm going to say, by the time you pay for the connected ride cradle and something like this, again, you're 2/3 of the way towards that big 10-inch screen. So I'd say just go for the 10-inch screen. Why the hell not? It'll make it a great selling feature as well when you go to sell the bike. Yeah, I know. It's a pink t-shirt. I know. I can be in touch with my feminine side. Jeez. It was a present from my daughter, so yeah. She went to Florida, so I've got to wear it. I'll make sure she notices it, then I'll take it off when I get around out of the house. Anyway, yeah. Right, adjustable screens now standard on the GT. I would say for this climate, you know, these islands, I'm in Ireland, the GT is the only model you would want. The X I found, it's the X I had. There's not a lot of wind protection, and it can be a rainy old place. So if you're going to use this thing for a commuter, I think the GT version is the one to go for. There's 3 more litres of luggage space under the seat. Okay, it's not much extra, but it's something. I think on the GT now, there's the cubby holes on the front screen, which there weren't before. The top box has gone from 30 litres to 43.5 litres. You've got the option to power it with USB and lighting, which is great. The load capacity of that top box has gone from 5 kilos to 10 kilos. Bit more useful. Do we take do we take any notes of these limits anyway? Who knows? You can add the touring pack, which is the rear rack, making it kind of ready for the top box infrastructure and stuff like that, and the prep for sat nav. And there's a comfort pack, which will give you heated seats and heated grips. If you're going to use this as a year-round commuter, I think you definitely want that. So I was riding the C400X Sport variant. That's no longer there for 2025. So what there is, you've got the X and the GT. And what it is, there's a special paint job in each one. So you've got the GT version, which comes with a white paint job, some different color wheels and calipers and stuff like that. It's nice. It's a nice addition. It's a low-cost addition, and it gives the bike a little bit of flair. What you also get with that is either some stainless steel footboards or covers for footboards, or this lighting. You can have this projected lighting which projects 400 GT or something like that on the floor as you park the car when you take the ignition off. Okay. Yeah, all right. So the X version has a ruggedized look, which gives different color wheels. It gives you a pretty gory paint job. I have to read what it is. Color matter metallic paint. Okay. You get some rugged wheels, rugged tires, which are optional. You can go for the normal road tires or slightly ruggedized looking ones. And they talk about these wheel paint color or tire choice as rustic. I've never known anybody of any age group on any part of their motorbike or two-wheel transport to look rustic. I don't think you're going to sell many of these. I think the paint job's bloody awful. This is the only negative thing I find about this bike, but at least it's optional, so you don't have to buy it. Something that's far too often overlooked is the service interval. This bike has a 6,000 miles, 10,000 kilometers, or annual service interval. Typical oil change, oil and filter change, that sort of stuff. That's not too bad for a commuter scooter, a low CC scooter. So you can imagine most people not doing 6,000 miles a year on that. So once a year service, that's kind of regular. But this bike does have a 20,000 kilometer, 12,000 mile CVT service. That's very labor intensive and a lot of work. And in conjunction with that, it also has a valve service at the same interval. That's going to be an extremely expensive service. The only thing I'd say is look at service packs from your dealer. I know from my local dealer, on any bike, I can get a 3-year service pack for 800 euros. That's actually quite cheap. I just took advantage of that on my GS, and as long as you can get to a valve service interval, it's worth it. If you can't get to your valve service interval by the end of year 2, so you get a service at the end of year 2 to cover you year 3, it's not worth it. So if you're ever going to look at those service packs, calculate out your annual mileage. If you think within the first 2 years of a 3-year service pack, you'll hit the valve service interval. If not, don't buy it. Whether you would hit that 20,000 kilometers on a scooter within 2 years is up to you how much commuting you do. I mean, that's a lot of commuting. If you're just going to do kind of 5,000 kilometers a year, maybe keep the bike for 4 years and get rid of it when you get to that big service, because it is going to be a big, expensive service. That's not uncommon though with CVT scooters. So that's something, if I was looking at this bike in comparison to some others, I would definitely look in the others as well, because they'll all have similar sort of services for that CVT gearbox. I know the Honda Forza 350 does, and it's slightly more extended than this one. It's 24,000 kilometers instead of 20,000 kilometers, I believe. So to me, that's the only gotcha about these scooters, if it suits you. Now, yeah, I still go back to the question, who's going to buy one of these? I really think it is somebody who is going to do a serious amount of commuting and who wants that premium feel about it, wants that premium look and feel about the bike at the same time. You're not going to go to your local bike club in it. You're just not. Well, I'm not. So it's for serious commuters who want to do it in a bit of style, I think. It's a great bike. I don't think there's anything not to like about it. Best of the two models? For me, it's got to be the GT. The special paint colour's much nicer. That's an easy one. But you've got the adjustable front screen, the option of the 10-inch TFT, and the front lights are much more classier, quite a different design than the X.